My beloved child, there is a reason you stopped here today. It is not something ordinary. Something deep inside you already sensed that a hidden movement has begun around your life. That feeling did not appear without purpose. At this very moment, while you are listening, something connected to your heart is quietly changing. A decision has already been taking shape somewhere beyond your view. The person who has been carrying thoughts about you for much longer than you realize has finally taken a step away from someone they once believed they needed to keep close. Do not leave yet, because what is unfolding carries a much deeper meaning than what appears on the surface. Stay until the end, because something important is waiting for you, and the truth behind this separation is far more unexpected than anyone around them could imagine. For a long time, your special person appeared calm on the outside. They seemed almost impossible to understand, as though nothing serious was happening inside their world. They continued living their days as usual. They smiled, they answered questions, they acted as if everything was under control. But beneath that quiet appearance, there was a hidden struggle taking place. Inside them, there was a constant battle between what felt familiar and what felt truly real. They were caught between staying with what others expected and listening to what their own heart had been trying to say for a very long time. They stood between comfort and truth. They stood between a life that looked acceptable from the outside and a feeling they could no longer ignore within themselves. Recently, something changed. It was not a dramatic event. There was no loud argument. There was no scene that caused everyone to stop and notice. To anyone watching from the outside, it may have looked like a normal conversation, a simple interaction, an ordinary moment that would soon be forgotten. But inside that moment, something shifted. While speaking with someone who had held an important place in their life, your name entered their thoughts once again. Maybe they did not say it aloud. Maybe they tried to push the thought away, but it arrived with a strength they could not ignore. It interrupted the answers they were giving. It disturbed the certainty they believed they had. The person they stepped away from was not just someone random. That is what makes this situation much deeper than it first appears. The distance was not created because of one simple reason. It was not only anger. It was not only disappointment. It was not only confusion. Something much deeper happened. Your special person suddenly began to understand that continuing certain connections would keep them away from a truth they had been trying to accept for a long time. And that truth keeps leading back to you. Do not skip, because there is more hidden beneath this. The person they moved away from had been influencing their choices for much longer than most people knew. Their advice, their opinions, their expectations, and even their emotional influence had quietly shaped many decisions. Sometimes your special person listened even when their heart disagreed. Sometimes they remained silent because they wanted to avoid conflict. Sometimes they chose to keep peace around them instead of finding peace within themselves. But silence cannot hold back something that continues growing. A person can ignore their feelings for a while, they can distract themselves, they can convince themselves that everything is fine. But eventually, what is true begins asking to be recognized. A moment came when your special person looked at the paths others encouraged them to follow, and something felt empty. The approval they received no longer felt satisfying. The smiles around them no longer brought the comfort they once expected. The words that once gave them security started feeling different, because once someone begins comparing a life of comfort with a life of honesty, it becomes difficult to return to pretending. And in that emptiness, one memory became stronger. You. Not only your face, not only your voice, but the feeling connected to you. The feeling of being understood. The feeling of something left unfinished. The feeling that no matter how much time passed, something about you remained impossible to replace. That is when the distance began, slowly and quietly. First, it appeared in small ways: a delayed response, a shorter conversation, a different tone, an excuse to leave earlier than usual. Small changes that others may not have noticed. But inside, something much bigger was happening. The emotional connection they once had with that person began weakening. Someone who had once occupied an important place in their daily life slowly started becoming someone they could no longer connect with in the same way. Stay until the end, because something important is waiting for you. The surprising part is this. The person they stepped away from may have believed they still had influence. They may have believed they still understood your special person. They may have believed they could still affect the choices they made. But something inside your special person had changed. The old connection began feeling heavy. Conversations that once felt normal started feeling forced. Familiar words began losing their meaning. Even simple meetings started creating a strange discomfort they could not fully explain. Why? Because when the heart begins recognizing the difference between what is real and what is only familiar, false peace becomes difficult to accept. Your presence, whether you are close to them or far away, has remained a truth they cannot completely silence. There were nights when they looked completely fine, but their thoughts were restless. There were moments when they tried to focus on other things, but somehow their mind returned to you. They tried to move forward. They tried to convince themselves that time would make everything disappear. But something unfinished connected to you continued speaking louder than the voices around them. That is why the distance happened. Not loudly, not publicly, but deeply. And what makes this even more powerful is that the person they moved away from may never fully understand the real reason, because your special person has not revealed everything. They are still keeping certain feelings hidden. They are still holding back words they have not found the courage to express. They are waiting for a moment when everything feels right. But inside them, one thing has already become clear. They cannot continue pretending that certain connections matter more than the truth their heart keeps returning to. Do not skip because another truth is coming. Recently, your special person began noticing small signs that reminded them of emotions they thought they had already controlled. It could have been a familiar song playing somewhere. It could have been a place they passed by. It could have been a simple phrase someone said. It could have even been a person in a crowd who reminded them of a moment connected to you. These things may have seemed small to anyone else, but for your special person, they carried a meaning that was difficult to ignore. Instead of fading away, those reminders became stronger. Instead of helping them forget, they created a deeper understanding. And that understanding slowly turned into courage. Not complete courage yet, not the kind that makes someone immediately say everything they feel, but enough courage to step back from a connection that no longer felt aligned with what they truly wanted. This is why the change looked sudden from the outside. People around them may have wondered what happened. They may have questioned why someone who once seemed so connected could suddenly create distance. But what they did not see was everything happening internally. They did not see every hesitation. They did not see every silent thought. They did not see every moment when your special person appeared peaceful, but was actually struggling inside. All those hidden moments were preparing them for this change. Stay until the end, because something important is waiting for you. The truth that may surprise many people is that the person they walked away from represented a version of life your special person no longer wanted to stay trapped inside. It was a life built around expectations, a life built around repeating the same patterns, a life where emotional comfort mattered more than emotional truth, a life where decisions were made because they seemed easier instead of because they truly felt right. Now, for the first time in a very long while, your special person is questioning everything. They are questioning the choices they made. They are questioning the relationships they tried to protect. They are wondering why certain emotions never really disappeared. Most importantly, they are asking themselves why your presence still feels impossible to remove from their heart. There is one thought that keeps returning to them. What if the person I tried the hardest to forget is still the one my heart trusts the most? That single question has changed the way they look at everything. It has disturbed the peace they once created around themselves. It has made even ordinary days feel different, because once someone begins asking that kind of question, it becomes very difficult to return to the way things used to be. That question is one of the reasons distance from someone important has already begun. Not because every answer is clear, not because everything has already been solved, not because the future is completely known, but because the truth inside them has become louder than the comfort they once depended on. Do not skip, because what comes next may happen sooner than anyone expects. Your special person is now standing in a quiet space between an ending and a new beginning. They are not fully speaking yet. They are not revealing everything they feel. But they are finally listening to something they ignored for a long time. They are listening to their own heart. And for the first time, the answer no longer feels easy to push away. Something inside them is preparing for change. A thought is becoming stronger every day. A decision is slowly taking shape. And the next step they take may reveal more than any words could ever explain. Stay until the end, because something important is waiting for you. Listen carefully, because what happened after that quiet distance is even more unexpected than the separation itself. Your special person did not walk away and immediately find peace. In fact, the moment they created that distance, a deeper silence entered their life. It was a silence that forced them to face thoughts they had avoided for a very long time. It was not the peaceful kind of silence that brings comfort. It was the kind of silence that reveals hidden truths, removes distractions, and forces someone to honestly face what they have been feeling inside. Do not skip, because this next truth explains why this moment matters more than most people realize. After stepping away, they expected their mind to become lighter. They believed that creating distance would remove the confusion. They believed they would finally stop thinking so much. But something unexpected happened. Your memory became even stronger. The silence did not erase their feelings. Instead, it made them more aware of them. Everything they had tried to hide became impossible to ignore. A simple moment changed the way they looked at their life. Someone asked them a question. It was not dramatic. It sounded ordinary, something anyone could have asked. But deep inside, it reached a place they had been avoiding for a long time. The question was whether they were truly happy with the direction their life was taking. For the first time, they could not answer immediately. In that quiet pause, they realized something had already changed. The answer they once believed was certain was no longer the same. What surprised them the most was not the question itself. It was the person who appeared in their mind before they could even respond. You stay until the end, because something important is waiting for you. That unexpected moment revealed something they had been hiding, even from themselves. Whenever they imagined real peace, they imagined being truly understood. Whenever they imagined emotional honesty, they thought about a connection that felt natural. Whenever they imagined a place where they no longer had to pretend, their thoughts moved toward you, not toward the person they had recently walked away from. That realization did not arrive like a dramatic event. It came quietly, like a truth that suddenly became impossible to ignore. After that moment, even ordinary things around them started feeling different. Messages that once seemed important slowly began losing their meaning. Conversations became shorter. Their attention changed. People close to them started noticing a difference in their energy, even though they could not understand the reason. Your special person is carrying something they have not spoken aloud. They are beginning to understand that some doors do not close because life is ending. Sometimes they close because the heart can no longer accept what does not feel true. Do not skip. There is still another hidden truth. Your special person is entering a season where silence is no longer just silence. It is becoming a time of preparation, a time when deep thoughts rise to the surface and hidden emotions become harder to ignore. From the outside, they may still appear calm. They may continue their daily routine, speak normally with others, and act as though nothing has changed. But inside, something much stronger is happening. There is a movement within them that they cannot easily explain. A decision that once felt far away is now coming much closer. They can feel its presence whenever the world becomes quiet, and there are no distractions around them. Do not skip this, because what is happening inside them now is stronger than anything they have shown to the outside world. After walking away from that important connection, they believed time would slowly solve everything. They thought distance would make life easier. They believed new experiences would replace old emotions. But instead of making everything disappear, time began revealing what they had ignored. They started noticing how often they forced themselves to feel comfortable in situations where their heart was no longer fully present. They realized that some conversations left them feeling emotionally drained. Moments that once felt normal slowly started feeling empty. They noticed how their thoughts quietly wandered whenever people talked about the future. They could listen. They could respond. They could continue moving forward. But somewhere deep inside, they knew something was still missing. That feeling of incompleteness had a direction. It kept returning to the same place, the same emotion, the same memory, the same person they still found difficult to speak about openly. Stay until the end, because something important is waiting for you. What surprised them recently was not simply remembering you again. What truly affected them was realizing that even after trying to move forward in practical ways, even after creating distance and focusing on other parts of life, your presence still carried a weight that no one else had been able to replace. That realization unsettled them more than they expected, because it forced them to face a question they had been avoiding for a long time. Why does one person continue to remain so deeply present, even when life keeps moving forward? That question followed them through ordinary moments. It appeared when they were sitting alone. It appeared when they heard certain words during conversations. It appeared when they looked at messages they no longer felt connected to. It appeared in quiet moments when they tried to focus on something else. Yet every time, their thoughts gently returned to what they had left behind. And every time that question returned, one truth became harder to ignore. Some connections survive because they were never shallow from the very beginning.